Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Wednesday, February 11th, 8 a.m. on the dot. One game left till the All-Star break. That's it. We can take a little time off. Now, we're not going to take time off in the morning show, but we'll take time off in the evening. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. What the hell was that last night? Is anybody going to play? I mean, imagine if Victor Wembanyama didn't play in last night's game. Watching paint dry. It was like the Super Bowl yesterday. That's what basically last night was, the Super Bowl. Thank you very much for hanging out. We got a packed show today. A lot of good topics to get into. Really appreciate you guys joining the show night in and night out, in the mornings as well. So really appreciate all the support to the channel. Cheers to you, whatever you're drinking this morning. I got some diesel engine fuel. That's it. That's all I'm doing today. Just a nice cup of coffee and black coffee, and we'll get to work. We'll roll up our sleeves. I got a lot of topics. I'm going to spend a quick couple of minutes here just going through the rundown, what we got going on for the show. We'll take a look at everybody's comments, and then we'll get started. Lakers lose last night. All right, is what it is. Nobody plays. 5 guys out. Luka, LeBron, AR, Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton. Lakers had no shot yesterday. They end up getting the L. If you were watching the game yesterday, you were watching because of Victor Wembanyama. You really weren't watching for anything else. He's brilliant. He's fun to watch. Got a couple of things we'll talk about with Wemby and his performance last night, so we'll hit on that. Got a clip from JJ talking about Wembanyama. Got a couple of quotes from Wembanyama as well we'll take away, where he's talking about how he wanted to be a little bit greedy. I don't know, too, if there was something about Wemby doing what he was doing, kind of saying to himself, like, all right, well, if nobody else is going to play, I got to put on a show. People spend a lot of money for these tickets. I don't know when they bought these tickets. Let me put on a show for them. LeBron's streak ends. LeBron's not going to hit the 65-game threshold. No real surprise there. A lot of these streaks for LeBron are ending this year. What does it really mean? I don't think it means much. I think LeBron needs to be strategic with his body, needs to be strategic with what his overall game plan is with the Lakers. So I don't think it's too big of a deal, but we'll spend a little bit of time on that. One game left before the All-Star break. I think actually it becomes a pretty important game tomorrow that the Lakers get a little bit of momentum going into the All-Star break. Sammy, a little miscommunication yesterday on my part with Sammy. Sammy's going to join the show today, so he'll come on. He'll come on about 8:15. So we'll be pretty quick of when we bring Sammy on, and him and I will shoot the you-know-what for a little bit, talk a little Lakers basketball, and talk about the NBA as well. There was an interesting article out there talking about the Lakers' game plan over the summer, building properly around Luka. There's a lot of kind of good pieces to the article. One of the things that it did have on there is, this is an article from Kevin Pelton of ESPN, was some of the decisions the Lakers are going to make, building around Luka. They mentioned some players. I gotta be honest with everybody. Not really any game changers of some of the players they're talking about in regards to building around Luka and AR. And when you look at these last 2 games, doesn't it feel like the next 5 years are going to have to run through OKC and San Antonio? I mean, there are teams just that are so much further along than the Lakers, and they're going to have to hit that reset button to an extent this upcoming summer, but they're still trying to build around Luka. Let's not forget, Luka's basically been playing pro since he was 16 years old. Not exactly the most durable player, not exactly known as a player because of his body. It's like, hey, this guy's going to play 18 years in the NBA. Point that I'm trying to make is, as they kind of start to rebuild things here, you got OKC and San Antonio that are already well ahead of the Lakers and some of these other franchises. So those 2 teams, no question about it, are not just the class of the NBA today. They're going to be class of the NBA for a number of years. The NBA's got a tanking issue, and I don't blame any of these NBA teams. Anybody that's upset at teams tanking, I don't know what to tell you. They're just playing based on the rules that the NBA has set. So, but we got a couple of different people that keep mentioning about how awful the NBA situation is in regards to tanking. Maybe I'm not paying attention to it, but I know it's a big storyline around the NBA. Got a couple other things around the NBA that we'll hit on as well, some different news items, and we'll call it a day. Thank you very much, as always, for being here. That gives you a little bit of an idea of our rundown. Let's take a look at some of the comments, and then as we get going here, we'll get the show started. But let's get a couple of comments in here. They better beat Dallas. Morning, brother from New York City. Good morning, brother. Thank you for being here. What is this quote here from Ocean Breeze? I don't care about 3 years ago. I don't care about 2 years ago. I don't care about last year. The only thing I care about is this week. Look at it, little Tom Brady action right there. Someone in the comment section made a good point. The Lakers organization should reimburse every fan that came to watch an NBA game but got a G League game instead. Here's where I disagree with you. At least Wemby was good. At least Wemby was really good. Something kind of funny. You guys know, obviously, one of our partners is Brad Wallace, the Wallace firm. He's got his son at the game yesterday. He's texting me during the game. He's like, is Wemby going to get 100? He's like, oh, my gosh, Wemby's already got 27. Oh, my gosh, Wemby's already got 35, whatever it was. In my head, I'm like, well, at least Wemby's playing, because there was nothing to talk about from yesterday's game other than the fact that one of the top 5 players in the NBA was doing what he was doing. This is how you fix the mess. Hire a real basketball mind. Keep Rob Pelinka far away from the draft. Go get Peyton Watson, Tari Eason. These players will change our trajectory. All right, good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. All right, let's get the show started. We got a number of topics that we can hit on. Lakers obviously lose last night. Not honestly, there isn't much to take away from the game. I mean, it just, I think for me, once you kind of had an idea of who was going to be playing in this game, we like to call it a scheduled loss. Spurs at one point led by 41. No Luka, no LeBron, no Austin, no Marcus Smart, no DeAndre Ayton for the Lakers. Lakers now, by the way, 5-6 when Luka doesn't play. You basically knew all these guys, Kobe Buffkin, Nick Smith Jr. I mean, there were players that were going to get playing time yesterday that would never get playing time in a game like that against the San Antonio Spurs unless you basically were saying, we're going to take the L. And of the back-to-back games that the Lakers played, what they were really trying to do was trying to get a win against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, they couldn't close out that game. And just like that, they're like, all right, well, they conceded against the San Antonio Spurs, and there was just nothing that the Lakers were going to give yesterday. Maybe you thought to yourself, well, maybe San Antonio is going to come out and play down to their competition. Maybe the Spurs are just maybe they know that it's going to be a win, and maybe it's a dogfight at the end because the Spurs had just absolutely no interest. That wasn't the case at all. Spurs were up 17 by the time the first quarter was done. They ended up scoring 84 in the first half, the most points given up by the Lakers in a half all season. And it was obviously got ugly very quick, and the San Antonio Spurs weren't taking their foot off the gas. The bigger story in the game was, honestly, it was Wemby, and it was getting a chance to watch just one of the craziest players anybody has ever seen in the history of the NBA because of his skill set, his size, the fact that he can hit 25-footers. He can also take one step from the three-point line, be around the basket and dunk it. Nobody's ever seen anything like this from, Victor Wembanyama. He's a freak of nature. He's a one of one. There's no player that you could compare him to. The only thing you could really take away from last night's game was getting a chance to watch Victor Wembanyama. That's it. There's nothing else that I take away. I don't care what Drew Timme did. I don't care. I mean, I guess you could say that seeing Adu Thero get some minutes was nice. It's the first game he's played since December 30th, so it was nice to see him get 10 minutes. But for the most part, there was just nothing you could grab away from yesterday's game. Let me play a quick soundbite here because I do want to spend a quick second on Wemby. And I think, to me, this is going to kind of go into the class of the NBA. And there are only a couple of players, or there are only a couple of teams right now that you're looking at or that you're watching and you're saying to yourself, okay, well, this is who the Lakers are going to be competing with, not just this year, but for years to come. And Wembanyama is the foundation of the San Antonio Spurs. Listen to JJ Redick just talking a little bit about Wemby yesterday. I'm sure a lot of Laker fans were watching to and on Wemby. Take a listen.
He's one of the 5 best players in the world. He's put that stamp on himself, and it's more than, to me, it's like more than the counting stats with him, because there's such an avoidance of him defensively, and there's an awareness you have to have from him defensively, and Sean has done a good job this year with their defense, and he's the center of that, and he impacts the game in ways that don't show up in a box score. On top of that, he's one of one as a human, and you can see the collective belief and collective culture that they've established over the last few years with him. He's one of the 5.
Okay, so there are a few things that I want to take away, and this isn't going to be just a, obviously we're not coming on this morning just to highlight Victor Wembanyama, but I think it does say something about some of the competition the Lakers are going to have to be, obviously facing here over the next few years. And I think seeing Wemby last night, and it's not, by the way, it's not just Wemby. The one thing that I will say, the Lakers got to see 2 different teams in these last 2 games. They lose both of them. And listen, there's context to all of this. Luka's not in the lineup. Neither was SGA. Neither was, obviously all the players that missed yesterday's game. So it's tough to take much away from these games because nobody's playing with their full squads. But I think we've seen enough from the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. If you want to make a run in the Western Conference, the only way you can make a run is you have to get through these 2 teams. And what I was hoping to see on Monday night and Tuesday night against these 2 teams was, do we get a chance to see how far the Lakers are from the 2 teams that are going to be favored to be in the Western Conference Finals? The answer is no. We did not get a chance to see what it looks like. If you were looking at this schedule, let's say 2 weeks ago, you're like, oh my gosh, they got Thunder and Spurs in back-to-back games. What's that going to look like? Is Austin Reeves back? Everybody healthy? The quick answer is no, we didn't get a chance to see any of that. And it's going to be a little bit of while until we're going to see the Lakers not just healthy, but healthy against some really good competition. I mean, don't get me wrong, but after the All-Star break, they're going to have some games where all of a sudden you got to play the Boston Celtics. There's going to be some other good teams that they're going to face, playoff teams that they're going to face. But Wemby is just an example of the guy is just scratching the surface. He's already a player we've never seen before, but they got 5-6 other players after Wemby that are also really, really good NBA players that are young, that fit well. I don't need to mention what the Oklahoma City Thunder are. I think, to me, the last couple of days was basically watching the elite in the NBA minus SGA and how difficult it's going to be for the Lakers over these next couple of years. Basically, any type of progress you're gonna try to make over these next couple of years, you got to go through OKC or San Antonio or both of those teams. That's kind of what these last couple of games have been to me. We'll see how the rest of this season plays out. Of course, there's still a lot to talk about and everything else. But as the Lakers kind of start building for the future, every single move that you make, how do we beat the Thunder? How do we beat the San Antonio Spurs? Those are going to be the 2 teams in the way. Doesn't it feel like, and I know Wemby is just one piece of this, but doesn't it feel like that any move you make, anything you do strategically, I think Denver is kind of, they're one of those teams where, all right, Denver's window, I don't know how wide open Denver's window is. I don't know how wide open the window of the Houston Rockets is. I don't know how much of a threat really Minnesota is or Phoenix is. But I do know one thing. OKC and San Antonio, they're not going anywhere. They'll be around for a long time. And that's kind of how I looked at these. I'm kind of trying to lump in together OKC and San Antonio in these last couple of games the Lakers had. And obviously it's gonna be interesting to see how things develop watching both of these teams, but they're just scratching the surface. I mean, the Thunder have an NBA championship. They're just scratching the surface. How good they could be in 2-3 years from now, I don't think anybody knows that ceiling. And I don't think anybody knows how good the ceiling is going to be for the San Antonio Spurs. So Lakers lose not just last night. Wemby's performance of 37 in the first half. He could have easily dropped 60. His kind of mindset coming into the game, he's like, yeah, we wanted to be greedy tonight. He said he wanted to play more. They got a second of a back-to-back coming tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Just kind of gives you a little bit of an indication of like, yeah, these are the two teams, not just even in the Western Conference, everybody in the NBA probably going to have to go through at some point if you want to win a championship. And I'm not talking about a short window. It feels like that window is going to be longer than anybody thought. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. Okay. I got a couple comments here that I want to get into. Certainly have a few different angles, and I'm sure some people got them opinions, thoughts, and then we're going to bring Sammy on as well. Before I do so, let's give a shout out to one of our partners here. Let's give a shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. So, something I was mentioning, had some text coming in from yesterday. Brad takes his son to the game, and the guy's just blowing me up. It was actually kind of couple of them were funny. He's like, Connect can't even get playing time in a game like this. I'm like, shots fired. I mean, what happened here? I didn't even know Dalton Connect was even part of that conversation. Injury attorneys that represent anybody in the state of California. I've mentioned this to you guys before. Somebody that I've known now for about 6 years. Certainly very, very loyal to the channel. I'm very appreciative that he believes in the channel, believes in the content, and he wants to be a part of it. Not somebody that's going to go have his billboards, spread across all of Southern California, everything else. Kind of one of those that just, I work a little bit more discreet. But everybody in the business knows Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm because they are the best in the business and they can help you. So hopefully you or a family member or a friend is never in a serious injury or wrongful death case. But if that is the case and you do need legal assistance or guidance, please give Brad Wallace and his team an opportunity. This on the screen right here is the URL that we created, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. You can start a completely free consultation. Again, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, not only injury attorneys that are here to help you, but also just a great partner of the show as well. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. That's wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right. We'll wait on a couple of these comments. I'll get to some of these comments. Let's bring Sammy on, and then we'll get to some of the comments. We'll get a chance to read them here. Sammy joining the show here. Sammy, good morning, brother.
What's up, dude?
What's going on? How are you?
That was interesting last night.
Do you already have? I like it. Sammy is sponsored by Adidas. That's right. Yep. How long is it a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal?
We're still negotiating. There's a player option on the third, but we actually have a full tracksuit going on right here. I thought it was very special for the Sliwa show.
So still negotiating the 3rd year while you're already in your contract. I didn't know that. That's an interesting strategy there. I like that.
They're trying to backload the money a little bit, and my agent caught it. So I'm actually going to talk to the Brad Wallace firm. We're negotiating some things, working it out right now.
How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Just got one more game for the All-Star break. What about you? How you been?
Been good. I'm not gonna lie. I think kind of All-Star break. I will say that this season's gone by very, very fast, but I'm also ready for the All-Star break. I think this will be kind of a good little regroup for the Lakers as well. You get the trade deadline out of the way. You kind of know what your roster is going to look like. They're not going to be going after, looks like the buyout market's not going to be of interest to them. So you have a good idea and let them get healthy before they get started. What do you take away not just yesterday's game, but you had the Thunder on Monday and you had the Spurs on Tuesday. Can you take anything away, or is this kind of like they don't have Luka? They obviously SGA doesn't play in the game. What can you take away these last couple of nights?
I mean, last night is obviously not fun to watch as a fan, but I mean, you can't take it. I mean, they're missing all their 5 starters. Like, yes, it's painful to watch. Yes, I'm sure if you went to the game, you were frustrated. I know I was frustrated watching the game. I'll be honest. I started off at half. I watched every Laker game. I was like, I'm not tuning into this second half. I'll keep up with it on my phone. I mean, you can't take too much away when it was a fun kind of opportunity to see Buffkin. Some of these guys get some run. Some guys stepped up. Some guys didn't. The Oklahoma City game, I give them credit.
That was winnable. That was a winnable game. They had an opportunity to win that.
That one I give them some credit in terms of it looked like in the second quarter and in the beginning of the third when they got up like 12, 14 points, Oklahoma City, they were going to run away with it. I was impressed the Lakers fought back in that. It just, you kind of saw that LeBron and then Reeves didn't have his best game. He had 16 points, I believe, and there wasn't a ton of help. LaRavia missing those couple clutch shots down at the end there. It's like they weren't far away in that game, but it just shows when Isaiah Joe and the other Jalen Williams, not the max level salary Jalen Williams, there's just guys up and down the lineup for Oklahoma City, Caruso, that everyone can shoot. And that's not really the case with the Lakers. It's a lot more certain guys have to get the ball. And I think that was kind of the undoing there at the end.
Yeah, the other Jalen Williams, back-breaking buckets for him. It's like you almost forget. I'm like, okay, so they got Chet, they got obviously Isaiah Hartenstein, and then he comes in. It's like this guy's also contributing. It's really actually, I think probably the biggest difference between not just the Lakers, a lot of teams in the NBA. This is how San Antonio and OKC this is how they slowly kill you. There's really nobody that plays for these, two teams that can't find a way to have an impact. And I'm not telling you that they're going to score every possession, and I'm not telling you that these guys are perfect, but the deeper down the Lakers roster you go, the more of a black hole that it becomes. Not just the Lakers. I'm sure Minnesota has this issue. I'm sure Houston has this issue. I'm sure, I'm just naming teams. I'm sure there's teams in the Eastern Conference where it's like, past the top 5 guys, you're like, we can't go any further. OKC and San Antonio, it's like they got another dude. And there's that is the difference between the Lakers that's a difference between the Spurs, OKC, and a lot of other teams in the league.
Like last night, I think they pointed out on the broadcast, Keyshawn Johnson and Julian Champagnie don't even get talked about. And they are some of the guys that have been there with San Antonio for a while now.
That's right.
A lot of times, like the Lakers can, in terms of talent with Reeves and LeBron and Luka, they can have nights where they can outscore the best teams in the league. The problem is it's like with the Lakers, they have a certain way to win, and that's all 3 have to be great, or you have to get some unbelievable performance from LaRavia or, Kennard now, Rui, whoever. It's just these teams have so many ways to win. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm not taking a shot at Jared Vanderbilt. I love watching Jared Vanderbilt play because he's one of the few dudes on this team that actually is a point of attack defender, but they don't have Oklahoma City and San Antonio doesn't have a player that doesn't play one side of the ball that you don't have to game plan for, and you can leave wide open in the corner. I think that was the difference in that game. Look, it's easy to be doom and gloom after the last 2 games. I don't take anything away from the Spurs. I think it's just frustrating that the Lakers aren't. You see that they're not beating the elite teams. You kind of believed it a little bit last week against Philly because I feel like Philly is going to be a team towards the end in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, I see why people are pissed, but it's just they kind of signal they're going for the offseason. They're trying to reload this roster.
Yeah. And again, I don't think nothing happened for me in Monday or Tuesday's game, nor was there enough talent from the Lakers playing to where you're like,
right.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have a difficult time taking anything away, but I also didn't learn anything new. So I already knew Oklahoma City is going to be the team that everybody's chasing. And frankly, you told me San Antonio and OKC go up against each other in a 7-game set right now in the Western Conference Finals. Whatever you felt maybe 3-4 months ago about that matchup, now you're kind of like, that might be a coin flip. Maybe you just give the edge to OKC because it's the Thunder. but nobody would be shocked if San Antonio won that series.
My question for the Spurs is, they're like, again, like Oklahoma City. Everyone kind of just assumes they're the next dynasty, even though we haven't had back-to-back champs in years now. Everyone kind of thought it was Denver. People thought it was the Lakers when they won. People thought it was Boston. I'm curious with them because you can't keep all these guards. Like this whole roster is kind of it's a kudos to them that they've been able to draft Dylan Harper. They got the lottery pick and Castle and Johnson and Vassell, all these guys, Champagny. That's why everyone kind of signaled them as getting Giannis, because it's like you're not going to be able to pay all these guys. You're going to lose half your roster at some point. So I think this Spurs roster will not have the depth it will have in a year or two. But you pair Wemby up with a superstar, who knows?
Yeah, they got options. Let's just put it that way. And this is the difference. I think this is a good comment right here. Why we're not in the same label as Spurs and OKC. This is the price for giving up draft capital and not developing young talent because we're trying to be competitive every year during LeBron's tenure. And here's the good news with that. LeBron's tenure is with the Lakers. I think everybody just believes it's about to end. So however you need to properly build, I think they're going to start that process of properly building. But I think this portion of it, let's just say, Sammy, I'll just use as an example. Let's say the Spurs can't afford some of these different, but okay, they'll pick and choose which guys they should bring back, which doesn't mean now, okay, well, do they trade other players to just go get more draft capital? The difference between the Thunder and the Spurs and a team like the Lakers, you have confidence in those teams are going to draft the right guys, and I don't think you have that with the Lakers. That's the difference. The difference is, the Lakers might draft somebody and with a top 15, top 20 pick, and it could be Dalton Connect that we're all talking about you got to get rid of, where these other teams, it's like, no, that guy's going to eventually crack the rotation and become a player that is, obviously an asset for that team.
I do think that you're 100% right. Oklahoma City and San Antonio are a cut above everyone else. Right before I came on, heard you talking about the Nuggets and the Rockets and some of these teams. The Lakers, all these teams have, well, not the Nuggets, but Houston, aging star and Kevin Durant. Lakers, aging star and LeBron James. It does feel like it's an odd situation because the Lakers were headed toward a massive rebuild had they not got Luka Doncic in their lap.
Big time.
And probably years of sucking and being one of the worst teams in the NBA. Then you got a lottery ticket dropped in your lap. Austin Reeves has developed into a really, really talented player. And then it's like, right, you're still to that comment, walking the tightrope of you have all these stars, but you don't have the depth to really compete for a championship. But then you're also trying to appease these players. It feels like when LeBron's out in the summer, the Lakers will have the first summer in a long time. They can really go try to build a roster. Not saying they will, but try to build a roster to beat Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
Okay, so Thursday goes down last week. They get to noon. The only trade they made was Luke Kennard for Gabe Vincent in the second rounder. What was your thoughts? Like, did you have oh my gosh, what are they doing? Why'd they do this? Oh, this is perfect. It's exactly what they should. Just kind of what was your initial reaction once you got past the trade deadline?
I loved it because they got a small upgrade. He's better than Gabe Vincent, and it's an expiring contract. I mean, they people, I get it. Everyone wants to win now. And it sucks as a fan that watches every game this year, and all of us who do. You want to see them go compete. And did they take the right steps to go win a championship this year? No, they didn't go out and get wing defenders or a center.
Could I just say this? The vibe that I got from most Laker fans, which is very different than, I think, like you said, fan bases are always like, what am I eating today? I don't care about tomorrow, The vibe that I got, if I'm being completely honest with you, I think most people kind of felt the way you did, where it was like, it's not very often that a fan base, especially with real stars that are on the team like the Lakers have, I don't feel like there was this crazy, this is BS. I think they kind of get it. And that's not typically the initial reaction. But the vibe I got was a little bit different than I think in previous years.
Because every other year, it's been that in the LeBron tenure. And before I get, you're hating on LeBron, I'm not hating on LeBron. LeBron, I understand when you have a big time player in LeBron James, you're trying to build a roster that can compete at every year.
Yeah,
But-
or then just don't have LeBron, because it's either you're all in or you're not. It's one or the other.
Right. And it feels like the Lakers are putting lipstick on a pig for years now. And it's like they do these
small
deadline deals, and obviously Luka was different. But to Pelinka's credit, Rui Hachimura, D'Lo at the time, like there's actually been some decent moves. Vando. There's been some moves that the Lakers have been able to make, but it just feels like going forward, the Lakers really need to focus on the future, and they're signaling the end of LeBron. And I know, LeBron, it's interesting after the trade deadline says the other night about how this is not a championship team. Like, yeah, he's right. But the Lakers to compete with an Oklahoma City and San Antonio, you have to start a full rebuild, not just sacrificing cap space and picks for the future to appease LeBron in his last year as a Laker.
Yeah, and listen, probably a tough for LeBron, kind of a tough pill to swallow, because he knows this might be his last season. He knows that the Lakers are not, trying to do everything they can to compete this year. And there's a lot of new things happen for LeBron this year that has probably never happened in his career. He doesn't get another extension, right? He doesn't get that opportunity for another 1+1 where he's kind of controlling the narrative. We get closer to the trade deadline. Lakers have a first rounder, and they decide, nope, we're not going to shop that first rounder, and we're going to kind of stay put, knowing that there are other teams, at least probably 2 or 3 teams that are better than them in the Western Conference. Maybe before the dust settles, 4 or 5 teams that are better than them in the Western Conference. This is new territory for LeBron, and it is signaling that the Lakers are obviously moving on. And I don't blame him for wanting to go all in at the moment, but the Lakers obviously not at a stage where it's like, hey, they're top 2 in the Western Conference and they're just one move away from fixing this entire thing. I don't think anybody ever felt like that was going to be the case. So I'm not too surprised by that.
We've never seen a superstar that is still playing at an elite level, and LeBron James still playing as a top 15 player. But because of his age and contract, no one really wanted to trade for him, because to trade for him to match the salaries in the NBA, it's not like the NFL where you can trade a guy who makes $5 million for a guy who makes 40. He was kind of weirdly untradeable because of the fact that he doesn't play back-to-backs. He's getting up there in age, but because of his talent, he would still command a lot coming back. I think if those restraints weren't there, I think we would have seen LeBron request out before the deadline. I just don't think no team was going to go get him that had contention capabilities.
Here's the only way LeBron would have been moved, is if he didn't sign for $52 million. Because the problem is, how are you literally going to match salaries coming back? And listen, I think if you're the Lakers and you could have got some young talent back in return and this and that, well, if you're grabbing key pieces from an opposing team, well, then wherever LeBron is going to go, all of a sudden that's not a championship contender.
Right, Mobley and then coming back doesn't make the Cavs championship contenders.
No, it kind of defeats the entire purpose. So, okay, so there was an article here, and I think this is an interesting one to get into. There was an article that talked a little bit about, let me see if I could find this, Kevin Pelton, ESPN article, and kind of goes through the 1-year mark of Luka as a Laker, and it starts talking about what's next, gives Luka credit for being leaner, talks about the Lakers obviously trying to win within his timeline. Here's the part that I thought was interesting. It said crucial decisions ahead, and it starts talking about some different players that the Lakers can kind of start targeting in the offseason. I'm gonna read a portion of this, and I think we'll give our thoughts on what we think here. But I want to know what's the first thing that runs through your mind, because something immediately came to my mind when I started reading and looking at some of the players might be available. It says the unrestricted free agent market seems most likely to yield a center, with Mitchell Robinson of the New York Knicks, Robert Williams III of the Portland Trail Blazers. Realistic possibilities. It says the Lakers could also make a run at guard Keon Ellis, who was traded from the Sacramento Kings to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then there's another piece of this that says restricted free agency is trickier for a team such as the Lakers that can't afford to wait out the matching period, but Denver Nuggets forward Peyton Watson is an LA area native who played at UCLA might be gettable via sign and trade because of Denver's tax situation. Of all the players that I just mentioned, and again, this is just what's your initial reaction? Not, hey, do you like this player? Do you not like that player? But what's your initial reaction when I kind of read off from this Kevin Pelton thing about the future for the Lakers? Does anything stand out to you?
Obviously DeAndre Ayton is not the franchise center going forward, but I think we all knew that. And again, like we've been talking about, look at these teams. Look at Oklahoma City and the Spurs. It's about the collective. So if you take $50 million, see people saying in the chat, $50 million tied up in a max level salary player, it's always been thought of the last 15 years, decade and a half, it's get stars, get guys that can drop 30 a night and do that. Well, we've seen big threes not really work ever since LeBron in Miami. I mean, they didn't work in Brooklyn. They didn't work in Phoenix. They haven't worked with the Lakers. So a collection of players for $50 million, a collection of Mitchell Robinson, Keon Ellis, Peyton Watson, just throwing names out there, might be better than LeBron James. Even though no single player is better than LeBron James, you see what happens when you play these teams with depth. And especially when, big threes, you're relying so much on health, so much on those guys to be stars every single night. They can't really take a night off. It's kind of a flawed system. So I think the Lakers are signaling that it's more about the collective and signing depth versus just headlining stars. What did you take away?
None of those names are going to really move the needle. I think Peyton Watson's a good player. I think Mitchell Robinson can help the Lakers. But let's just say it was a perfect offseason. This kind of takes me back to watching the Thunder and the Spurs, and if that's the class of the NBA. If you got Mitchell Robinson and let's say Peyton Watson, I'm just making up stuff. Let's say the Lakers got those two players, but Keon Ellis re-signed with the Cavs and he's not available. And, what do the Lakers do now? They'll have some draft. They'll have some draft compensation. I guess my point is this. That ain't going to be enough to start building around Luka and Austin Reeves. If you're trying to go up, Luka's still very young, 26 years old. By the time you get to next year, he'll turn 27. The only thing that I will say about Luka, listen, is there a little bit of concern about his body? He's been playing professional basketball since he was 16 years old. Let's just say if you said, what's the perfect NBA body? Luka's body's not going to come up. Okay. Like you're going to get down the list before you start saying like, hey, is this guy going to be playing into his late 30s? I don't think that's going to be in Luka's. My point is that the window is very critical. Every year matters with Luka. And Luka's going to be great for the next 5-6 years. No question about that, at least. But I think those names that I just read off, it's going to be interesting how they build around Luka. And if AR is a part of that future as well, obviously you got to be very, very strategic with every piece that you get because you're going to have two players that are great offensively and two guys that are holes on the defensive side. Is that going to get you competing against the elite in the Western Conference?
Just signing those players? No. But I will disagree a little bit in the sense of that's how you attack a trade deadline. So in the offseason, you get kind of supporting pieces. You get a Mitchell Robinson, a Peyton Watson, Keon Ellis, whoever. Just guys that you think can play basketball and take some pressure off your superstars. And then you can go hunting for a piece. The Lakers weren't hunting for a piece at this trade deadline. They needed to compete with Oklahoma City. They needed 2 to 3 3-and-D players. And honestly,
or if they were hunting for a piece, it just had to okay, hey, this is the guy. Instead of signing somebody in the offseason, we just got our guy at the deadline that's going to be here for the next 3 years.
Right, 100%.
And that wasn't available, nor did they have the assets to go get that guy.
Totally. So in the offseason, a lot of cap space, way more draft picks. It goes from 1 first-round draft pick to 3. Mm-hmm. And I just think signing a supporting cast, i.e. Keon Ellis, Mitchell Robinson, whoever, Robert Williams, then it's then you can kind of go pick and choose and spot fill these things when the Lakers really have 3 excellent players and a bunch of inconsistent players with some talent. LaRavia has talent at times. Rui's got talent at times. Kennard's decent. Ayton, we thought was good for the first month and then has kind of been a disaster the last little bit. But I would be more excited about that, about the collective, and then trying to go attack at the trade deadline versus just, yes, those names on a list are not like, oh, Peyton Watson's the Lakers, they're winning the championship. but you
I
usually
like him.
You like Denver. When Denver beat the Lakers, remember it was KCP and
Bruce Brown.
Bruce Brown. Like those are the names look at Oklahoma City, Isaiah Joe, these guys that people don't talk about, Lou Dort, are kind of the catalyst for why they go far. So I would be excited about that.
If you told me that, again, I'm speaking out of my what. If you told me that it was Luka and Giannis were on the same team, and then you started filling out the rest of the roster, and it's like, yeah, those role players are going to be key, they're going to be important. The problem is if you're telling me Luka and AR are the two best players on the team, and those are the pillars, that's tough. That's tough to build the right team around those two players, and you're saying to yourselves, well, that team's going to go compete with the Thunder and go compete with the San Antonio Spurs. The only reason why I keep bringing those two teams up is because that's really the class of the NBA. That's it. Like
right.
those, and I'm sure the Lakers and whatever that front office looks like, and however they improve that front office under Mark Walter and his group, every single day it's like, well, what's the best of the best? Those two teams, I don't even think they're probably nowhere even close what they'll probably be over the I think they're only getting better. Those franchises are only getting better, even though they're already good right now. That's kind of you wake up every single morning, you're saying to yourself, if we want to be the best versions of ourselves, this is what you're competing against.
100% agree. And you look around the West, right? Houston doesn't have some super long runway. I mean, maybe.
No,
no,
I don't think they do.
And Denver kind of keeps running back the same thing every year, and it hasn't worked since they won it a few years ago. Minnesota, you feel like they don't have a number two. It's the same thing with them. It's like Anthony Edwards gets you 40, and Randall can chip in with 20, but who else is really gonna help take you over the top? So I actually do think the Lakers going forward, not for this season, are in better spots than all those teams minus Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
I agree with you.
Because you're starting with a superstar in Luka, I think is a star in Austin Reeves. I know people want to debate that. I think Austin Reeves could be a big part of a championship winning team. And then you can go outfit this thing the rest of the way. Maybe it's Giannis. Maybe players want to come play with Luka. There's been reports that the centers are like kind of frothing at the mouth to come play with Luka.
Tim McMahon, I think ESPN was like, they are doing backflips to come play with Luka.
So we'll see. Obviously, we're going to have to see how this plays out. But I actually would say going forward, the Lakers are in a better spot than all those teams not named Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
You know, it's funny, and that's why I'm not even like mentioning any of the other teams, because I don't know what the Suns' future is. I don't know what Minnesota's future is. I don't know what Houston's future is. And Denver, it just might be an age thing, or it just might be health, whatever the case is, right? Denver's all in right now. For me, it's more the class is those two teams, and every move you make, that's kind of the barometer that you're facing here.
Doesn't Denver feel like the Lakers from 5 years ago? Like you had Anthony Davis and LeBron, who were two absolute superstars, and it felt like you won one ring. And the one year, both teams were completely outfitted with the right kind of roster. And then ever since, it's like those two guys are stars, and then they just couldn't put it together.
I really like their team. I really do. They have, I don't think at any point this season have been healthy. And typically, if you're getting into mid-February and your squad has not been healthy, probably not going to change. It just feels like one of those years for them where they're just not going to be able to put it together because of health issues. And that's not that different than either the Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron, or other, championship teams in the past where it's like, well, they were never able to put it together, and a lot of it had to do with health. What'd you make of Pelinka's presser, and how Pelinka will basically be kind of heading the offseason of, of course they're going to be trying to put together, and this is the one area that we keep talking about, new ownership. If there's one thing, and it's a very, very big thing. I mean, we could talk about Peyton Watson, and we talk about Robert Williams and Mitchell. We talk about all these players. Having the right front office is more important than any individual player. I know it depends if it's a top 5 player, then I'll make an argument against that, or a top 10 player. But what do you make of his presser, and how involved and just how lean that front office is, and how much the Lakers will be able to stockpile in that direction.
Well, I'm just excited for the offseason because A, you have cap space, A, you have draft picks, and then the kind of underlying thing that people have forgotten about is the Walter Group, and they blew out
their first offseason. First
offseason. So usually, regardless of sports, whatever sport it is, when new ownership comes in, you're going to see wholesale changes. So you already saw the scouting department to the point you made earlier, which I thought was very valid about how the Lakers don't develop talent like Oklahoma City or San Antonio or Detroit, even some of these teams. Well, let's see. With the Walter Group, you can't outspend anybody in free agency. This isn't Major League Baseball, but you can't outspend people in the scouting department. You can't outspend people on the coaching staff. Those are things
which is as important as a top free agent. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you're going to put together your roster and these players have to perform. But if you can walk out there and say you have one of the top 5 front offices in the NBA or one of the top 5 scouting departments in the NBA, which I do think the Lakers will build over the next few years, you're going to be competing every year. Like right. That's just going to happen.
I mean, when you have Sam Presti, look, AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell was a who? I mean,
who is that too? Nobody, by the way, I don't even know if a lot of people, how much they know about AJ Mitchell, how much people know about some of the depth of these Thunder players that don't even get playing time or a lot of run. These guys would be one of the key players for any other franchise. They just happen to be playing with a team that has so many guys.
Right. And then to your point about great front offices, I mean, they get Jared McCain, and credit to Philly, they've developed a bunch of wings, and Edgecombe and Oubre's been playing really well. In Watford, so they don't need him anymore. So they end up getting picks back. But you got a steal of Jared McCain, a guy who was in the Rookie of the Year conversation until he ripped his ACL. So it's just great front offices do things like that. I am curious to see if Pelinka is a part of that. As of right now, it looks like he will. There was a report that maybe he would be on the outs. I don't know. To be fair to Pelinka, and I get people want to rip Pelinka, but if you look at this guy's track record in terms of trades, he has won a lot of trades. Like outside of the trade that now you can talk about, maybe he got pushed over and Genie got pushed over with LeBron and the Russell Westbrook deal. That was a horrible deal for the Lakers. That set the
franchise back.
Franchise back. But again, D'Lo at the time, Rui Hachimura. You mentioned Vando. I mean, obviously Luka. That was
Dorian Finney-Smith. I thought at the time was a good trade, and they ended up, obviously because they didn't re-sign him. I think that hurt them a little bit. But I thought DFS was the right move. Usually,
Pelinka outside has made moves midseason that, for whatever reason, hasn't put them over the top, but has made them better that year. I mean, like the year with D'Lo and everyone, they went to the Western Conference Finals. That team was not going to the Western Conference Finals if they didn't make trades at the halfway point. So, long-winded way to say, I am excited to see if Pelinka is a part of it. I wouldn't mind to see Pelinka a part of it, but I'm sure there's kind of a short leash with the Walter Group because if he's not cutting it, they'll get someone in who will.
Yeah, and listen, I think I will say this. I think for me, as I kind of look at the future for the Lakers, I don't think there's much of a appetite for a lot of Laker fans to say, hey, Pelinka should be a part of the future. So it's going to be up to Pelinka over the next year to kind of show, listen, I've been working with a really, really thin front office. I don't have a lot of people that are helping me. I don't have the best this and the best that. If you get me the resources, if I have a GM that's one of the best GMs, if all of a sudden they go from, 1 or 2 people inside of that front office to now you got 5 or 6, maybe that does make Pelinka look a lot better. Maybe the new ownership will make Pelinka look a lot better. But I think for a lot of people on the outside looking in, it's like, well, how can Pelinka be the head of the Lakers franchise, president of basketball operations, and you put together a true championship roster, not for 1 year, but for years? I think a lot of people have a difficult, and myself included, like I have a difficult time thinking that, yeah, that's going to be the guy that everyone is saying, hey, that's one of the best basketball minds in the world. And if you're the Lakers and you have these resources and you're a franchise as, historic as the Lakers, you should be able to get one of the best basketball minds in the world. I mean, that should be a given.
Well, that's why I don't worry about this, because either Pelinka's going to cut it or he's not, and they're going to blow him out and someone else will. Because during the LeBron bus era, it's like the last thing the Lakers wanted to do was fire Pelinka, and then the next question that happens is when Anthony Davis and LeBron were here was, okay, are they going out? If you fire the GM, is this team really a contending team? Are they on the way out? With LeBron, probably his last year with the Lakers, obviously AD's not here anymore. Luka signed for the long term, new ownership group. It'd be fun to see if Pelinka can get it done with a lot more, money in terms of kind of the scouting department and everything, and in a full offseason of cap space and draft picks. But to your point, if he can't, it's valid. I understand people being like, Pelinka hasn't really gotten it done in the 8 years he's been here. I forget how long he's been there, but like I understand he's
had some moments. I think he's had some moments. I think it's just big picture. Like, hey, you got new ownership. So if there's ever a time that you can start with a fresh start and a fresh chapter, and you're moving on from LeBron. Obviously, I think you would agree with this, and most Laker fans would as well. If Pelinka was gone tomorrow, I don't think there would be this mourning of saying, "Oh my gosh, they screwed up so bad." I think people would just be saying, all right, who's next? And whoever that is, you would have confidence that new ownership would be hiring the right person.
Totally. So I'm curious who they would go get. With the Walter Group, could you go try to poach somebody? I mean, you could pay him a gazillion dollars. It seems crazy that the Lakers and Knicks and these franchises couldn't go throw so much money at a Sam Presti to come over, but maybe Sam Presti's sitting on his pile of draft picks thinking I'll just win championships.
Well, and it doesn't have to be Sam Presti. If he's happy with, being with the organization, listen, I know at times you might look at this from one perspective, but Sam Presti, maybe he's like, yeah, I don't want any of that. I'm happy where I'm at. I've been building this franchise since it was Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. I'm a king here, and it doesn't mean anything to him to run the Lakers. Who's the next guy? Maybe that same person is like, yeah, I don't care. Who's the next guy? Like, you're going to eventually get to somebody that says,
I want to run the GM of the Los Angeles Lakers.
I want to run the Los Angeles Lakers. Like that's the part to me that's always, we get stuck on these just couple of, I'm going to give you an example. Maybe Masai Ujiri is one of the best basketball minds in all of the NBA, right? Like maybe he's a top 5 person. Maybe Masai Ujiri is just sitting there saying, if you want me, I'm ready to go. And maybe for Masai Ujiri, this is like the holy grail of, so it doesn't have to be Sam Presti, but you're not going to get very far before somebody says, yeah, I'd like an opportunity to run the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
Fair point. Like it doesn't have to just be one person. Somebody's going to say, I want to run the Lakers.
I mean, they're going to get to you at some point, Slee. There's going to be
That's not good. That's not good for them.
Yeah, I have faith that you would build this roster out.
Okay. Final thing here, and then I'll let you go, brother. And I appreciate your time. What do we have here? We got one game left before the All-Star break. Lakers got the Dallas Mavericks. You'll do a preview video later tonight, previewing the game tomorrow. What do you want to see kind of in the second half of the season once, they get back? It's after the All-Star break. What kind of sticks out to you? Because I will tell you this, after OKC and San Antonio, it feels a little open. And you never know what can happen in a series, and you never know what can happen in a 7-game set. How important do you think it is? Like the Lakers right now, I think I was looking yesterday. They're not that far off from the number 3 seed. They're also not that far off from the number 7 seed. How important do you think the seed is? How important do you think the matchup is? Just curious your thoughts on all that.
I do. For everything we say, it can be easy to sound doom and gloom because you're right. The Lakers are not atop the Western Conference. I do agree with you. I think outside of Oklahoma City and San Antonio,
it's kind of open.
Every team has flaws. Like if you look at Houston has the size that could give the Lakers problems. The Lakers also could give them massive problems because they don't have a point guard. And it's been their problem all season. They don't have someone to run the offense. It would be much different if Fred VanVleet was there, but he's not. Denver does kind of feel like a 2-man game right now. There's Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon. There's some guys there, but
Aaron Gordon is such a key piece for Denver. He's out again. I mean, he's missing significant time this year, but that dude is what Iguodala was to the Warriors back in the day, it's kind of what Aaron Gordon is to the Denver. You're not getting anywhere without Aaron Gordon.
Totally. And Denver obviously has been the Lakers' kryptonite for a while, but they kind of feel similar in that you have a couple stars and who's going to win on the depth piece. Denver probably has more depth, but the Lakers also have the third best player on each team, or if you went down Luka, LeBron, and Murray and Jokic. But so I do think it's pretty open. In Minnesota, we saw it last year. Now the Lakers do have another center, Ayton. It's hard to trust Ayton, but they do have some more size than they did last year. So I do think the Lakers could win a series, maybe two if they get some injury luck and they're able to kind of avoid the big dogs. But my number one thing I want to see is it makes no sense why this team, they're like one of the top defenses in clutch time defense. So when it gets down to like 5 minutes to go, that's where the Lakers have won all these close games. They had their 23-0 when they lead going into the fourth quarter,
which is a good sign. It shows that you got closers, you got players that can end games. Sure,
that's what's so frustrating at times because you're like, they can play defense because they do it at times and they do it when it matters. The problem is getting to the fourth quarter where it matters for them to play defense. So we've been saying it for weeks now. It's like, can we see a start to finish defensive performance? I give LeBron a lot of flack, but he wasn't wrong the other day when he said the Lakers aren't a championship team because they don't play 48 minutes. The Thunder play 48 minutes.
Yeah, he's right.
He was right on that. But so if they could tap into that, the Lakers could do something. But it's been a lot of the same. What about you?
Yeah, I think just I think seeding will matter. I don't want to play Denver in the first round. I think making sure that you're not in that 5th, 6th, or 7th spot is important. At least have home court in that first round. I think, listen, if you end up playing Denver because you ended up the 4 seed and they just happen to be number 5, there's nothing you could do about it. But I think they got to get 3 or 4. I do. And if you're on the road in the first round against Denver, I don't like their chances if Denver's healthy. If you're on the road against the Rockets, I think that's going to be a dogfight. So I think at least get home court in the first round. And listen, they had home court against Minnesota last year. They were out in 5 games. It doesn't guarantee you anything. But I do think that piece, if you're looking at it for the rest of the season, I think that's a goal that they should have, and we'll see if they're able to accomplish it.
Let's get in the tournament.
Well, they're going to get in the tourney. That ain't the problem. I think for them, it's not just getting in the tourney, but I think it's being a little bit greedy once you get in as well. All right, get the hell out of here. I appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you for the inside, buddy, and your preview video later tonight. Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, Sliwa, you're the best. Thank you, everybody.
All right, that is Sammy Long right there. Let's talk. I know. Listen, I got a lot of comments to get into. I got a lot of supers I'm going to get into. So I'm going to spend the rest of the show just paying attention. I didn't really jump into them. Him and I were having a conversation, so I wanted to just make sure I do that. Shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal, a very, very good partner and a great partner of the show. Excited to have them a part of the mix now. Well, they've been a part of the mix now for almost about 2 months or so now. Yesterday, we gave away a phenomenal prize package. So shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. If you're looking for a staycation and you're anywhere in Southern California, I highly, highly encourage you to give Harrah's Resort SoCal an opportunity and a chance to earn your business. They are such just a beautiful, beautiful resort. They got so many different things that they can offer, all the different amenities. Yesterday, we just started. If you go on the description of the show and the channel and this specific episode, you get 20% off if you use our code. So do me a favor when you're trying to book a room. Make sure you use our code and make sure you go to our exact link, which is in the bio here. It's going to be in the details, and you can get 20% off for some of their weekday rates. So certainly take advantage of it. Restaurants, they got Hell's Kitchen. They got Rita's Cantina. They got the Rincon Brewery. Entertainment, they have phenomenal shows from comedians to artists. So really, really try to take advantage of it, especially as the weather starts to get better. They got an unbelievable pool. They got the swim-up bar. They got the lazy river. So Harrah's Resort or harrahsocal.com is what the website you can go to. But I'm going to have you skip a step here. Make sure you go to our link that we have in the bio, and it's under all the details of the episode, and get 20% off. So if you're going to book, make sure you do that. If anybody's got any questions and they want to book at Harrah's Resort, give me a heads up. I'll be happy to help. Shout out again to Harrah's Resort SoCal. All right, let's get to the supers here. Let's get to the comments. We're going to spend the rest of the show doing that, and we will go from there. All right, do I just start from the beginning here? Let me see here. Let's get a couple here. I don't remember schedule losses with Kobe. John Wayne, thank you for the super. I appreciate it. This is us talking about earlier that the Lakers played nobody against the San Antonio Spurs. I don't know who you're upset about when it comes to the schedule loss, but here's what I will tell you, John. And again, thank you for the super. And I know you got a few in here, so I'll get to all of them. If anybody has a problem with LeBron sitting a second of a back-to-back at age 41, I don't know what to tell you. I got no issue with it. If LeBron's sitting a second, you better be bitching and complaining about the other players before you bitch about LeBron. Please. If anyone's got an issue with LeBron sitting a second of a back-to-back at age 41, I don't know what to tell you. He's in his 23rd season in the NBA. He's not going to hit that 65-game threshold. Why would he hit that? I mean, it would be dumb if LeBron's trying to hit that 65-game threshold. What LeBron needs to be is very strategic the rest of the season and just be ready for the playoffs. All right, let's keep going here. And by the way, the Kobe comparison, I don't even understand the Kobe comparison. Dudes are sitting out day in and day out in the NBA. This is happening all over the league. And if anyone's, again, I'm going to just say this. If you're bitching about LeBron sitting out a second of a back-to-back at age 41, you don't have your priorities right of what you should be complaining about. I don't remember Kobe playing until 41 years old. You're 100% right there. And that's obviously a good line to have in regards to that. Maybe he's not talking about LeBron. He could be talking about Austin Reeves. He could be talking about DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart. Could be talking about, obviously Luka's dealing with a little bit of an injury here, so that one's a little bit different. Yeah, listen, that was the sneeze was coming. I didn't know how to control it. I didn't know when it was coming. Slee, you're going to be unemployed soon with LeBron because we have been hearing there's not much to talk about after that one a lot recently. I'll be okay, but thank you for your concern. Thank you for your concern, and thank you for your 5 spot. Maybe that's going to go to my unemployment. I don't work for anybody. So, I mean, this one's kind of up to me if I was going to be unemployed or not. I'll be okay. But again, thank you for your concerns. We'll be okay. We'll be just fine. And again, thank you for the 5 spot. Much appreciated here. Let's keep going. They lost to OKC by 30 when Luka played, shaking my head. Yeah, listen, I think the main thing that I was trying to get away during this show, the most important thing I was trying to get away, I think the thing that I walked away from this last couple of days and this week, OKC and San Antonio, the class of the NBA, how you build in the offseason is basically that is the class of everything. Every single team that's out there, but especially the Lakers as they build whatever they do in the summer, whatever the front office looks like, whatever the big picture is for the Lakers, every single move you make is, how does this move help us against the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs? So you're right. They did lose when Luka was there. And a lot of teams have lost against these squads here. I think the biggest question for me right now with the Lakers is, how can you compete with these teams and you're basically going to be somewhere between 3 and 7 by the time the playoffs start. Can you be the best of that next group? And that's still a question mark that's in the air. I don't have an answer to that either. I really don't. But that's the best of the best right now. Can you be the best between 3 and 7? All right, let's get some more supers in here. John, you're throwing a lot of money at the channel here. I mean, if you're telling me I'm going to be unemployed, I'm going to be fine if you keep throwing these supers out here. Here's another one. There's a specific formula for LeBron to win. Have a stacked deck against inferior competition. 3 superstars surrounded by above-average veterans accepting less money for a chance at a chip. Okay? So what happens in 2020 when the deck wasn't exactly stacked? Clippers had a really good team. The Milwaukee Bucks had a really good team. What happens when he took on the Cleveland Cavaliers and they had Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston and obviously Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Steve Kerr? What happens when the deck wasn't stacked? I will tell you what happened. He still won NBA championships. How about when he was just starting his career? I don't even know why I have to defend LeBron every freaking time. Can we get a different angle here? I mean, John, just write in the comments you don't like LeBron. That's it. And then you could save some money in the process. I'll take the supers, but there's just no point. I just don't understand the argument. What is the argument? Is LeBron, is he a scrub? Is that the argument? Is LeBron just not a good player? Is that the argument that you're trying to make? That the guy is not one of the greatest players to ever play the game? I don't get what the argument is. I really don't. LeBron sneezes the wrong way. LeBron, every single thing LeBron does, it's his fault. And here's the honest truth. The only reason why I read your comments, especially these comments, is because they're super chats. If this was just a regular comment without the money that was associated with it, I wouldn't feel obligated to read it. There's nothing I could do with this comment. Nothing. Other than to say thank you for throwing a super chat. You keep throwing the money out there. I really appreciate that. Very, very nice of you. But what is your argument about LeBron? I don't understand what the argument is. What is the argument? What is the conversation? That he's not good at age 41? Yeah, you're probably right. He's 41. That you don't want to give him credit for winning past championships? Why? I don't understand the argument against LeBron. What is the argument? The argument that you're specifically trying to make. I got another super here from John. What a weird position to be in. You know? I want to encourage the guy to be a part of the show. Of course, I want to read somebody who sends a super. But sometimes I just don't understand what the argument is. You're losing me on some of these arguments. In Loaded West with the second apron players, no ring probability is low, but damage to personal brand and future earnings, Westbrook and AD is high. I think whatever, at least I could do something with this one. I will tell you this. I think the brand for the Lakers has not got touched because of new ownership. Whatever the brand was, or maybe the brand was getting hurt, I think there was that over the last 15 years. I think that completely resets with this new ownership. I think the brand just took another level up because of new ownership. That's what I feel. Thank you for the super. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking an angle that was a little bit outside of just the LeBron one. That equals Laravia, Smart, Ayton, and Hayes, etc. All right, get a couple more of these. Thank you for all the supers. Let me just say that right out the gate. Sometimes I don't even know what we're arguing about. Thank you for the supers. I'd rather have good role players than trade for Giannis. Please, Mr. Pelinka. Get another more in here. You attract more talent with Luka and Giannis. Look at all the guys who waited for Kawhi's decision and then jumped to the Lakers after Kawhi signed with the Clippers. AR cannot be the second best player on a real championship team. I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree. I know a lot of people love Austin Reeves. I know a lot of people don't care about Austin Reeves. This is, in my opinion, this is the right. These last two comments, AR cannot be the second best player on a championship team. Reeves is a great third option. I agree with both of those comments right there. All right, got a couple different supers here. Why does Lakers media seem to be afraid to talk about LeBron's horrible defense? He just stands under the basket and watches the opponent score. Brother, this is just what you have from LeBron at this point. And I don't think there's Lakers media. Listen, if there is, I'm not consuming everybody else's media. I obviously just focus on the show, the channel, and a lot of the content that I consume might just be news and information, maybe less opinion. I got no problem talking about LeBron's defense, but I also have an expectation for LeBron's defense at this level. And I know people are going to make the argument, but Al, he's making $52 million a year. He's still got to be able to play defense. Guys, you're going to get what you're going to get from LeBron at this stage. And nobody's ever played 23 years in the NBA. Nobody has been this productive this late in their career. And LeBron's not going to be a Laker by the time this year is done. I think all indications are he's not going to be a Laker by the time the dust settles. Dakin, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. We need Bob Myers and Mike Malone coaching. Might get that down the road. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but that could definitely happen down the road. Let's get another one in here. Thank you for the 10 spot, brother. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the 5s, the 2s, whatever anybody's sending for a super. Very appreciative of that. Kennard is a good player, but 2 games in, he doesn't get up enough 3 balls 2 to 3 games is not going to help. He needs 5 to 8 a game to supply the gravity needed. This is my MO, by the way. Okay, this is his MO, by the way. Here's where you can truly, truly start assessing Luke Kennard. Luka's there. Reeves is there. LeBron is there. And then, of course, Ayton and Marcus Smart and everybody else. Right now, teams get a chance to basically say, Luke Kennard, we got one thing to worry about with Luke Kennard. He's a really good three-point shooter. Where he's going to get more and more opportunities is when you can't lean off of certain players because Luka Doncic is there. And maybe Luka gets a bucket because somebody's saying, I can't lean off of Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard will be the best version of himself when everybody's there. They didn't get Luke Kennard to play in a game without all these other stars. I mean, obviously, that's a big difference there. And teams are going to adjust. They're going to understand Luke Kennard's going to be the shooter. Rui's the shooter. Let's not worry about Vando. Let's not worry about Marcus Smart. Let's not worry about Jake LaRavia. That's what I'd be doing if I'm another team. I'd be letting these guys shoot threes. I'd let LeBron shoot threes before I'm letting Luke Kennard shoot a three. I mean, it's kind of simple math there. Thank you for the super brother. But I'm going to go back to what I just said. What I said from the beginning is you cannot properly assess Luke Kennard until all those players are available. So that's what you got to wait for. Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to roast anybody. All I want to do is I just want to have good conversations, and it's tough to have a good conversation when every single thing is about LeBron and it's something negative. I mean, it's like what I got a difficult time doing that. That's a tough process for me to fully understand. Okay, we're already late here with the show. We got to get the hell out of here. Let me do a couple quick NBA stories, and then we're going to bounce out. Thank you for everybody being a part of the show. I hope I don't discourage anybody to have comments on the show because I want everyone to give their opinion. I want everyone to kind of say how they feel. But I also got to be honest with some of the responses that I have as well. All right, let's see what we have here. Slee, JJ has to coach him up. They ran no sets last night for Luke or for Kennard. It's just, guys, just think about this. Kennard's on the Lakers not to run sets for, per se. I mean, there'll be times they'll be able to run sets for him, but not in last night's game. It's going to have to be when all the other stars are there and the attention is away from Luke Kennard. Couple quick NBA stories and we're going to get the hell out of here. I had something I want to play, but I don't want to do it. There's a lot of chatter right now about tanking. Bobby Marks is saying that Utah is messing with the integrity of the NBA. Chris Mannix had a column, the NBA's taking crisis is worse than ever. Here's how to fix it. He goes into his ideas of how to fix it. I saw something from Richard Jefferson in one of their podcasts that they have. He does with Allie Clifton, a couple other people. I think Perk is a part of that as well. Talking about, hey, there's a way to set this thing up. Final 10 games. The team that has a lottery pick, that has the best record, gives themselves a higher odds in the lottery draft, basically to play with competitiveness. Maybe the NBA's got to do something. Maybe this is an awful look for the NBA. The structure of I don't blame Utah for wanting to tank, Washington wanting to tank, Dallas wanting to tank. It's the way the system is set up. If I got a shot at going to get, especially this year's draft, there's supposed to be 4 guys that it's like, they could change your franchise for years. Probably won't work out that way, but that's what it looks like today. What does it all come down to? It comes down to, what do I need to do that's in the best interest of my franchise? If tanking is part of that game plan, you might not like it. You might say it's screwing up the integrity of the game. For other teams, it's like, no, this is strategic. Literally, you've built the system for us to lose. Unless that changes, I don't blame any team for tanking. I really don't. And if it's messing with the integrity of the game, then change your rules. I don't blame any team trying to tank. I really don't. And I think a lot of people are not going to like me saying that, but it's the truth. This is how it is built. Is not tanking. It's not tanking. It's the way they tank. Best players are being rested. Bad for fans. Again, I don't disagree with you. Then change the system. It's in the best interest of the Utah Jazz not to play some of these other players right now. It's in their best interest to lose. The league has literally created a system that's saying the more you lose, the better chance you have of changing your organization. Why are we complaining about tanking? I think bigger issue the league is the gambling refs running around the league. There's a ref that looks at Uncle Fester just like the other night. That's sus. All right. I mean, listen, that's a whole different issue. I mean, you know, obviously, as much as you end up seeing from all the gambling website, that's a whole different gorilla there. I don't disagree with that. Every single ad is like, hey, bet on this player, bet on this game. It's like this. I question that integrity much more than a team trying to tank. All right, my people, that's all we got for today. Thank you. I appreciate the comments. John Wayne, I appreciate the supers. I appreciate the back and forth dialogue. Thank you to Harris Resort. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to Sammy Long. Thank you to everybody for obviously being a part of the show. I'm back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Lakers don't have a game until tomorrow night. Final game before they hit the All-Star break. So thank you, everybody, for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.